So chat, there are 13 of you here. I feel like that's enough to get going with our first quiz question with a gifted sub as the reward for the winner. I will not... it will just be for the first correct answer. I don't mind how you get to that answer, whether you spam different numbers in the chat. But whilst we are on board with TD, I'm going to set you away with this quiz question. What number Grand Prix is this tonight? Is this, for instance, IRL's first race? In that case, the answer would be 1. If it's our 1000th race, you would put 1000. What number Grand Prix are we on today? Bearing in mind I have done 100 streams, so chances are it's going to be more than 100. So I will leave you with that, and that will run until the end of quali, or until someone gets the right answer, I guess. And then, if you are correct, you can have a gifted sub. How about that? If you want to spam your guesses in the chat, feel free. You do have the answer. 255 is not correct. TD tackling this tricky Belgian track in Spa, not quite as relaxing as the name suggests, and I'm sure in the blazing Belgian sunshine you probably do feel like you're sitting in a sauna for a little bit. Barbar kicks us off with a 1 minute 42.3. Pole position on Tuesday night was a 1 minute 40.9. So that is kind of a little bit of reference, maybe at what we're expecting pole position to be, as TD continues this session on a 41.6. That's pretty good going. Keep your guesses coming in chat. What number race do you think this is tonight in IRL's history? And bearing in mind this is my 100th stream, so it's going to be more than 100. Well, the session did seem very grey to start off with, but now the sun has come out, so I don't think we're expecting any rain in qualifying. Maybe for the sprint race or the feature race we may see some. John was on pole on Tuesday night. I'm sure his 1 minute 48.2 at the moment will not get him another one, but still plenty of time to improve that. Top Gun invalidating in the middle sector, and that's quite annoying when you invalidate here because it's such a long lap. CM21 41.6 of his own, 1/100th of a second quicker than TD. And then there's Josh, who goes 3 tenths quicker than everyone else. So Josh goes on to provisional pole with only 12 minutes left of the session. Remember, sprint race will be a 25% race format, not the actual sprint race format in the game, because there are. And then after that race, we will load back into the lobby where we will have a custom grid and a 50% feature race. That is how things are going to work tonight, if you didn't already know. Chat, keep your guesses coming in, because this is a gifted sub that you could earn just by guessing a number. If we don't have too many more guesses, then we will have no gifted subs. That was a nice banker from TD, he says, on a 41.6, deflated, beats his teammate by just under 1/10 of a second and goes provisional pole. We're still 3 tenths away from the pole time on Tuesday night. Still a little jump here, okay. I will have a look for next week. Our quiz question, TD, is what number IRL Grand Prix are we on tonight? The winner, the first correct answer, will win a gifted sub. It is not 213. You were closer with your first guess, Ritz. I will say that. It's kind of in slow-mo. Is it unbearable? Is it unbearably bad, or is it? Can we make do with it for now? There's a Ferrari stuck. Is that? It's BRT, and he's stuck in the pits. That's awkward. 260 is the correct answer. Well done, TD. Maybe, okay. Problem is I'm not too sure what to try next. It won't be able to set any more lap time. BRT won't be able to set any more lap time. And neither will Top Gun. And there's an Orland one there. That's an AlphaTauri, so that's Greg as well. So 4 drivers here are glitched. I have a feeling we may have to do a bit of a restart. I can't give TD a sub because he's already subbed. That's irritating. Ooh, Barber, bit of oversteer there. And oh, Barbar's missed the pit lane. Will he get caught up in this? Yes, he will. This is very interesting. Crazy close top 7 indeed. Well, I guess aside from Josh, Deflated was on a 0.3, but after that DSQ has dropped him to the bottom. We run with the show. Cockamper up Radion, validating. We have CM21 and TD in a battle for what is at the moment P2. As the checkered flag falls, Josh is currently on provisional pole by half a second. As we said, it would be a little bit different had things been better in terms of lobby quality. Loving the Christmas hat, a bit early there. Well, I'm celebrating my 100th IRL stream tonight, so I thought I'd just change things up a bit and be a bit wacky. So yeah, apologies if it's a bit early for a lot of people. I am personally a big fan of Christmas. I know a lot of people don't celebrate it, so I won't bang on about it too much. I don't want to offend anyone, of course. CM21 41-0 as he crosses the line, snatches provisional pole away from Josh. Provisionally, Josh is on a lap behind 1010. 1010 though is half a second up in the middle sector. Still needs another quarter of a second at least in this final sector if he wants to challenge CM21. TD across the line to do a 0.4 and solidifies his spot in third. But for how much longer can he hold on? Because 1010 as things stand will go onto the front row, second row with the grid ahead of him, and he does. It's a 0.2. And what about Jellyman and Smaller? Both Alfa Romeos coming to the line. You see Smaller into the pits. Jellyman improves to P5, and Josh improves, but by a fraction, but not enough to get him pole position. So there we have it, BRTC M21 with his a race to get the stats up. 3rd pole position in only his 11th race. Pretty impressive stuff. So we have it. This the weirdest qualifying session I've seen in quite a while ends with a 1 minute 41.004 as the pole time, only a tenth or less than a tenth away from what John managed on Tuesday night. So pretty good. Again, hard to know where the likes of Deflated, Top Gun, Greg would have fallen into that group. Bit confused. John's 1 minute 46. Maybe he was involved in that kind of glitch as well. Certainly expecting John to. Actually, no. I think John said he started the back tonight, so maybe that's why he did the slower lap time. Personally, think a restart is the fairest thing to do, but we have taken into consideration stuff from what the drivers want to do tonight, and we've had to come to a rushed decision. But we will discuss this in depth after the race and come up with a blanket rule for future races in case this does happen again. So apologise if you didn't get the desired outcome. I didn't get the desired outcome, but it's not an ideal situation. We didn't want this to happen. Some people have been affected, others haven't. Either way, it's going to upset someone. So hopefully you understand that, you know, for us to make a snap decision on this is really difficult. So thankfully, no points are on the line. That is the good thing about it in quali, if I could say that. Is that no points are on the line. But for the likes of Deflated, who is in a championship fight, who has majorly been affected by this, that's obviously not great. Obviously Greg's been affected as well in 11th and Top Gun in 13th, so everyone else I don't think was affected as severely. But in the interest of time, you know, there's various factors. CM21 is off the track. Yes, my quiz question still remains. The first person to get it in the chat will get a gifted sub. How many races have I, SunGod, been involved in, combined racing and streaming? Previous guesses 193 and 260. It is not that high. It is below 193. So formation lap, turn back on. We have heard reports from other leagues that it isn't ideal, so hopefully we don't encounter any more issues. I might put a little graphic up with that question. That's too big. So Belgium Grand Prix is underway, and that is an awful camera angle to kick us off with. Anyway, CM21 enters the first corner in the lead and looks like he gets out all nice and rosy in first place. I will get this right. Josh overtaking CM21, 10-10 on the outside of turn 5, Lecombe. CM21 sticking with him, got a wheel alongside. There we go, there's your question. I'll leave that up there until someone gets the right answer. Why not comment? Why not have a guess? You get a gifted sub as a reward, celebrating my 100th stream here on this channel. Josh leads the way, and tyre strategy is going to be a big one. You are going to make a mandatory pit stop in this 25% race. So I imagine all of the top 7 are going to be onto the soft tyre for their second stint. But Josh here is, well, he's rather racing ahead with this. He needs to get a good gap, get the drivers behind out of his DRS, control this race, manage the pace and the gaps behind, and take home the sprint race victory, which is only worth 8 points. Got some movement in the back. We got a bit of a snap of oversteer there from Greg. And John looking to fight his way up from the back of the field. We've got both Williams cars out of the points at the moment, Top Gun and Barbar. Glitch on the timing screens is noteworthy. We've got 2 Ferrari-powered cars battling. Jacob and Smaller Smiley. Jacob, nice move there. Side by side through the pond, but deflated as well. More opportunistic from deflated there. But on this occasion, not getting through. 2 Red Bull related cars battling as well, with deflated and Greg. 2 Mercedes powered cars battling into Puon. Top Gun has the inside line. John knows that and just drops behind. More out of safety than anything else. Out the front we've got 10-10 and TD, Jellyman, Tim and Felix all tailgating the back of CM21. No DRS until lap 3, remember. So no DRS, of course, at the moment. And oh, that's a bit wide from CM21. Josh with the new fastest lap of the race. 10-10 now into P2. TD battling with CM21. This happened in lockdown 3 years ago outside of IIRL. Where I met both of these drivers. On this occasion, TD gets ahead, and now proud owner of 3rd place. Now, TD will have the DRS on 10-10. CM21 is perhaps the best positioned car to make a move here. Deflate's now past this lot. Jacob and Small Smiley once again going side by side. Jacob, oh, that's not an ideal line. He's been nudged from Barbar behind. May get some reviews from the steward. Hello to you, Demon Jonesy. How are you doing? But 10-10 is closing that gap out front. Was 3.1 seconds when 10-10 entered 2nd place. Past CM21, but in the last lap has gained half a second. TD then. TD's highest finish in this tier has been P6 so far. That was 2 months ago in Miami. TD will be hoping that he can make the most of only 14 races here tonight and maybe push for a podium. Who knows? CM21 passed up into P3. Don't forget, this is just the sprint race. We have a 50% feature race coming up after this, where full points will be on the line. Big battle behind smaller, defending from Deflated, John and Top Gun. Jacob has made a pit stop. You are required to make a pit stop in this 25% feature distance race. Gap has stabilised out front, 2.3, 2.4, somewhere around that mark. Josh has picked up the pace somewhat. Maybe 1010 was using a bit of ERS to try and get a fastest lap on the board. As we've said that, 1010's gained another 0.3, so you can see Josh is very much in his sight. Josh has an incredible act this season of getting on the podium. Am I quiet? How's that? Any better? Josh, the 8 races this season he's finished in the points, he has been on the podium every single race. He has had a DNF to his name and has had a couple of non-scoring finishes. But every time he's finished in the points, Josh has got on the podium. Remarkably, only one of those podiums was a win. CM21 shoves that Ferrari down the inside of the Mercedes and takes third place. Will he keep it? Lap 5 of 11. Question up on the screen for a gifted sub. How many races have I been involved with in total in IIRL? You can guess as many times as you'd like. We've had a guess of 193, and that is too big. So there is your hint. It is less than 193. If you get it right, you get a gifted sub. And into the pits come CM21 and TD. We've got Felix and Cod Camper battling out of the final corner. Undercut is very powerful here. Seems a bit distant. How is that any better? There has been a grand total of 260. Oh, Cod Camper! And he's gone, and he's spun at Le Com. He's gone at Le Com, and that is also desperately unlucky. Nice little management battle. Bit of wheel banging there from smaller on Deflated. Both of these have just made a pit stop. Deflated pitting 1 lap earlier. Smaller Smiley onto a brand new set of soft compound tyres. And I imagine all of the top 6 will be in this lap. Not because they need to be in this lap, but just because they need to react to those who have pitted. Camper getting overtaken by CM21 as he recovers from that spin. Deflated, Demon Jonesy, astutely pointing out, as the previous commentator for APS, that those hard tyres are not the one to be on. And probably should box. I think maybe Camper doesn't realise he needs to box here because it's a 25% race, not a sprint race. But Josh and Felix stay out as well. Maybe they don't think the soft tyres can last that long. Deflated is rejoined after that disconnection. John right on the back of Deflated now. What lap will Josh pit? CM21 got the 1 lap undercut on 10.10, but it didn't result in him getting up a position. Instead, it just meant that CM21 is now on the back of 10.10. Once Josh pits, these two will lead the race. That's how powerful the undercut has been. Barbar has lagged out. Josh does pit. I imagine Felix will be in as well. And he is. So that means 10.10 will come across the line to finish lap 8 and lead the race. Josh is now moving out of the pit lane. CM21 with a new fastest lap. This is going to be close. That was a lot closer than I thought it would be. And Josh now has a brand new set of soft tyres. It will take a sector, maybe a sector and a half to warm up. And he's got DRS, which means he doesn't need to push. And of course he's recharged his battery a little bit from being in the pit lane going really slowly. So Josh here, he can get these 2 overtakes done. Might find himself back in the lead of the sprint race, but with BRT CM21 having DRS on 10.10, it will make Josh's life to get past very difficult. Further down the field, Camper has been caught by the gaggle of cars all pitted for brand new soft compound tyre. Camper doing alright to stay vaguely competitive on those hard compounds, but he does need to make a mandatory pit stop. And nothing Camper can do about that. John flies past. Deflated wee, luck is shocking at the moment. Currently out of the points and out of the luck. We've got Felix and Top Gun battling. And into the pits comes Camper. He won't get any points for this race. John sets a new fastest lap. No fastest lap point available in a sprint race. It's just for the bragging rights. Barbar retires. Is that on track? It is on track. Bit naughty. Not supposed to do that. Especially as... oh, there we go. Thankfully he didn't get in Jacob's way. But is struggling to reconnect to the lobby. Battles up and down the field. exactly what you want to see. Out in front, 10:10 still leads BRT CM21. Josh is just behind and looking the most keen for a move. We've got Top Gun and Felix really close on track. We've also got John on the back of his teammate TD, as we do have a move on. That's just not what I did. We have a move from Josh on CM21. Josh now up into P2 and nothing in between him and 10:10. Lap number 10 and 10:10 leads. 2 laps to go. Who is going to win this sprint race? Pretty confident those three will end up on the sprint podium. But in what order? I doubt CM21 will win this, just because his laps are a bit older than the two ahead of him. But Josh is not close enough to make a move. John up into 4th place. Remember, John started in 12th place after wanting to start at the back on purpose. After this race, we will have a 50% feature length, 50% length feature race, as we always do in the sprint races. And if we're seeing as much action in the next race as we do in this one, we will be happy. From a neutral perspective, this is really good racing. Lovely to see. And Josh doesn't need to make the move here with the DRS on this main straight. Pretty much just needs to get it done on the Camel straight, the really long straight at the end of sector 1. This is going to be 20 seconds or so that could decide this race Grand Prix winner. And here it is. CM21 has dropped back a little bit, so he's not in the picture at the moment. But there goes the ERS, the green, the horizontal light on the cockpit is on, indicating energy is being used. The DRS is open. How much energy has 10:10 saved? You can see Josh's energy bar is low with that red flashing light at the back of the car. CM21, that time penalty won't cost him 3rd because he's 6 seconds ahead of John. Jellyman occupies P5. Great race from him, have to be said, doing the Tim's proud out there. And Tim is ahead of Tom with TD in 6th place at the moment. Top Gun and Felix battling. Both will get points because Greg, their nearest challenger, is 7 seconds back. But Josh has the pace. That 1 lap old fresher tyres as 10:10 struggles out of Stavelot. Josh surely has got this in the bag. 8 points for the winner of the sprint race, 7 points to second, so Josh will only outscore 10:10 by 1 point in this race. But crucially for Josh, Deflated Wheat is not in the points. Josh, it was an odd strategy, but it worked, and he had good pace to boot as well. Helped off taking the lead in the early moments of the race from CM21 and 10:10. But he got it done and takes home 8 points in the sprint race. Top Gun is right behind TD, but TD keeps hold of 6th place. CM21 3rd, as we knew. John Jellyman. Nice races from their perspective. TD matches his best AT1 finish this season with P6. I'm sure he'd be hoping for one better. in the feature race. And a couple of drivers having a few issues here and there with the sprint race, but the most points is still up for grabs here. Feature race coming up in about 5 or 10 minutes time. Tyres were done at the end, says TD. This is Belgium. After all, Deg is pretty high at this track. John just beats 10-10 to the fastest lap of the race by just over 1/10 of a second. Those time penalties for CM21 didn't make any difference at all. As always, I award a sprint driver of the day. My sprint driver of the day is going to go to Jellyman Tim, actually. I thought that is the best I've seen from Jellyman Tim since he's joined the league. Very impressed. So, Jellyman Tim, you are sprint driver of the day. I'm sure other drivers were capable of having it as well. Top Gun did well into the points from the back of the field, as well as John. But we know those drivers are really quick anyways, so I like mixing it up and giving it to different people now and again. Boom. Let's have a look at our featured driver for tonight. And I'm sure Demon Jonesley needs no introduction to this person. It is 10-10. I'll do that in a minute. So yes, 10-10. Who is he? 10-10 is one of our long-standing racers. He's one of our most successful as well. In fact, last week he hit 10 wins total in the league and 25 podiums in the league as well. We'll get onto his stats in a little bit. This is featured driver form, a way for us to get to know him a little bit better. He is 25 years of age from, quote, sunny Scotland. He's a heating engineer. And his hobbies and interests are, he has many. Yes, that's as vague as I can give it to you. He's racing on a wheel. Again, he's been really specific and told us which wheel. His favourite driver is Alex Albon. Don't blame him. Absolute. If he was a footballer, he'd be a baller. But I guess he's a driver, I guess. His best track is all of them. Again, really specific as to what his best track is. But if it's all of them, it's all of them. Again, his racing strengths, he's just put all of them. I think he's trying to troll. But genuinely, he is good at all of those things. So, you know, I can't really question it, to be honest. His goals for Season 5 are for the championship, as we can imagine, on Tuesday night. He is leading the championship in NA. It's half wet and half dry for the race. That is very interesting. Felix has lagged out, so he won't be able to choose his strategy, setup, tyres. That'd be odd for Felix, not ideal. And 1010 has his interesting fact that his parents are divorced. Obviously, that's not amazing news, and I've gone through the same. So yeah, it's not amazing. But he put that himself. I'm not being harsh. He put that himself, and he's happy for this to be on stream. So that is 1010. Let's have a look at his stats. If I can get them up. Quali results this season so far on the top row. I mean, his lowest, he's only qualified outside of the top 10 on two occasions in Baku and Spain. Very tricky tracks, including 2 pole positions at Bahrain and Imola. As for his race stats, the red indicates a DNF. So only the 2 this season. Apart from that, he's finished in the points every race, apart from where he finished 11th in Saudi Arabia, including 2 wins at Miami and 2 weeks ago at Great Britain, where he is just now one of the 4 people in this league to win on both Tuesday and Thursday in the same race week. All-time stats then. Hope you're ready for this. This is a bit of a whirlwind. 94 races in total, 14 pole positions, 11 race wins, 25 podiums, 47 points finishes. Those DNFs are not crash outs, by the way. They're just go into the pits and retire. And just like the plane and how he flies around the track, 747 total points. He's got a few streams back in season 1. We do wish he streams more with us. 5 end of season awards and 2 championships, including the NA Drivers' Championship last season. 1010, one of our long-standing drivers and someone who has been very integral in our management chat as well. We really appreciate 1010 and definitely could not run this league without him. Racing Strengths rage quitting. Fair enough. He's with some drivers who did really well. Formation lap is underway and CM21 is very keen to get on with it. I think it's not a problem if you take the lead on the formation lap. At the end of the day, it actually hinders you. So I don't think it's an issue. Yes. This is round number 13 tonight. Next week, round number 14, we are back in the Netherlands for Zandvoort. We have not done Zandvoort in a year. The CM21 has been disqualified from formation. Why is that? I was not watching. So CM21's tyres are going to be really cold. Oh, what's that? I've got something on my screen. That's the first with default setup. That is, yes, that's not amazing. Felix disconnected in between sessions, so yes, Felix on the default setup here in Belgium of all tracks. So next week we will be in Zandvoort for the Netherlands Grand Prix. You can join us on Sunday, where it will be a very different AT2 race. It will be a similar format with the sprint, but the lobby will open as soon as the real-life Qatar Grand Prix finishes. So we may be delayed if there is a safety car, red flag, or rain. Who knows? Nowadays, with the climate change and all that, then we will be delayed on this channel. But you will have to join us at some point on Sunday. It may not be the normal time, but do join us on Sunday for the 82 coverage of the Belgian Grand Prix. But we're not done here tonight. We have 22 laps. And Josh leads us away. CM21 will have extremely cold tyres, and that is being very evident, although it does lunge up the inside of John, who is using a harder compound tyre. Let's get those tyres on the screen. Mediums for the top three, TD and deflated as well. Movement in the back, or the midfield I should say. Jellyman and TD going side by side. Looks like TD, there's a Red Bull going down the inside as well, and TD has come off worse from that. It looked like they were 3 wide with deflated, and also affected is Greg. Awful start for those two. Not saying it's their fault, just saying it's an awful start. Not very great. The rest of them have got away pretty much cleanly. A few gaps here and there. But Josh leads 10-10, CM21, John in P4 on the harder compound tyre. Remember, there is rain coming. So, I don't know what lap it's going to happen, but we do have rain on the horizon as Deflated gets past Jellyman for a spot in the top 5. We will have to keep an eye on the weather conditions. At the moment, it is blazing sunshine, and sun rays are bouncing off these cars very nicely indeed. Deflated past John on a quicker compound tyre for the moment. Deflated keen to get on with this. Felt he was very unlucky. Josh and 10-10 lead the way. CM21 in P3. Deflated John, Jellyman all within range. Cog Camper as well on the back of John. Jellyman. Top Gun tagging along, and so is Small as Smiley. Not too much to separate at the moment. Position changes as the start has progressed. Deflated we 5 places. We have noticed in previous races Deflated is very good at gaining positions off the start. Once again, that is happening tonight. John Jellyman down 1. Camper, Barbar up 3 places apiece. Smaller and Felix up a couple, and Jacob as well making some moves. Obviously, we saw what happened with TD and Greg on the opening lap of the race. That is why they have considerably dropped some places. And lap number 3, you know what that means? DRS is now enabled. 10-10 using it very effectively to get past Josh. It's going to be a very long race, and my stream quality is awful. I do apologise. I might do a cheeky restart, but I'm not sure. If the stream quality is bad, chat, you are allowed to tell me to do a restart. Welcome back. We are live once again. Apologies for the brief delay and the quick restart, but it was very necessary. It was bugging me so much. Round number 13, in case you have missed it. We are live at Belgium from the comfort of my home in England. Lap number 7, lap number 6 becomes... It is lap number 6. It's a good start. 10-10 leads by 1 second, crucially. Barbara and Jacob have made earlier pit stops in this race. And here comes Top Gun. Looking for the move. And the outside of Lacombe has the inside line. Now Small Smiley has the inside line, but a bit of contact there. I think has made Jellyman go a little bit ghosty. Camper looking for a move. Jacob retires in the pit lane. Shouldn't be a safety car. As this field has now started to split up slightly, Top Gun will need to have a good rest of laps to make sure he has the DRS on John. As things stand, Josh leads Deflated Wee in the championship by 5 points. 10-10 is 33 points off the lead, and George Plaster, who isn't reserving tonight, is 44 points behind the leader. So really, the battle here for Josh is outscore my teammate as much as I can. At the moment, although there is a 7-second gap between both Red Bulls, it will only equate to a 6-point difference, which is definitely manageable for Deflated. But now he only is losing 3 points to his teammates. Deflated gets past into the first corner, but CM21 has a really good exit out of Radion. He also has 2 cars right behind him. Deflated goes defensive. CM21 forced onto the grass. There's a Mercedes down the inside. Deflated hit CM21. Doesn't really affect him too much. There's a Mercedes off the track, and Deflated has gone round the outside of CM21 in turn 7. But it's had to back out of the move there as CM21 now back past Top Gun, looking to pick up the pieces. That was John, the Mercedes, going off track at Lacombe. Not too sure what happened with John. Deflated. The outside line for Puon, not the one to be on, I'm afraid, and has to slot in behind. Ten comes around to complete lap 7 and start lap 8. We're a third of the way through this Grand Prix already. 10 leads Josh by 2 seconds. Pit stops will be happening in around about 4 laps time. CM21 currently holds on to the final podium slot. But Top Gun, Deflated, Smaller, Jelly and Cod and John as well at the back of this train all keen to take that podium away from CM21. Deflated now up into 4th, just like deflated last lap. CM21 loses 2 places there, just from not having the DRS. And that's a lot better for stream quality. I may just stick with this, even though it might be a bit jumpy here and there. Anyone's guess really who's going to finish on this podium alongside 1010 and Josh at the moment? Those two have a almost 7-second lead on this battle for third. Not really too much happening at the front, just 1010 managing that gap. Needs to be wary of the undercut. Josh can gain a couple of seconds with a good undercut. And even just being in 1010's DRS puts 1010 under a bit of pressure. At the moment, 1010 can just manage his DRS, manage that gap, speed up when Josh speeds up as well. At the moment, it's plain sailing for 1010. Josh not really putting him under any kind of pressure, but maybe Josh is managing fuel, tyres, ERS, who knows. The real battle though is between these 7 drivers. TD after being spun around at Le Com on lap 1 in 10th place, and will take home a point if he can stay ahead of Greg, who was also affected at Le Com on lap 1. Felix is on a default setup and on the soft compound, which are very, very trashed at this point. Barbar retires in the pit lane. Just the 12 remaining, and 7 of them are in battles. John looks the closest to make any kind of move through the field. Bit of a mistake, Jellyman. And Jellyman very sporting to back out of that. He could have kept his foot on the throttle there and gone side by side into Stavolo, but decided, nah, that's your position now, I've made that mistake. Just slots in behind. Very sportsmanship there from Jellyman. I'll be hoping that his tyres don't become jelly in the next few laps. Remember, there is rain coming. We don't know when, and the skies look pretty grey to me. Could be imminent, this rain. This is all down to who can manage their tyres so they don't get shredded, and when the rain comes, how quickly does it fall. Some opting for the hard compounds, thinking on the side of caution. Some opting for the medium compounds, looking to get moves done up the field before the rain comes. The CM21 gets the first time penalty of the race. Gap out front has increased over the past 3 or 4 laps, up now to 2.7 seconds. Top Gun was 6.7 behind the 2 leaders, now only 6.2. Those hard tyres perhaps are the better tyre to be on at the moment, because the loss of grip is slower. Those mediums will be a bit more trashed, a bit more worn. You can start to see Top Gun inching closer. I'm not going to say he's close enough to close that gap and make a move for the top 2, but certainly it will help, starting to gain that time back. Smaller Smiley looks in a good situation as well, but if he can Find some grip to get past CM21 and Deflated. That'll be good news for Smaller Smiley. Keeping an eye on Smaller Smiley's finishing position here, because this season so far, and I will back this up with facts, Smaller Smiley, when he's finished in the points, which has been 9 times this season, he is either finished between P5 or P9. So I wonder if Smaller can get its best result into the top 4 tonight, as CM21 does a decent job at defending. Will lose the DRS on Deflated though in the process. Deflated's race performances in 81 this season have been extremely consistent. He has finished every race bar 1 in the points, and when he has finished in the points, he's finished in the top 6 9 times out of 10. So Deflated, good in 81, battling for the championship on Tuesday nights as well. Only 5 points behind his teammate Josh going into this Grand Prix. There goes Smaller Smiley, CM21 happy for the outside line. Hello Padge, how you doing mate? Happy 100, thank you very much, appreciate that. Would you like the special 100th race hat? More battles between these two Ferrari powered cars. CM21 low on energy. There is rain incoming. Thank you. There is rain incoming, and it's just started. You saw it flash up on the screen now. And there you go, I did promise it for guessing that quiz question correctly earlier. Demon Johnsy, gifted sub, hope you enjoy it mate. 10-10 leads Josh by 2.6. Top Gun is closing that gap, but only by a few tenths per lap max. 5.8 Deflated staying with him. CM21 was in this big train battle for third and held third place on a number of laps in this Grand Prix, but now under pressure once he started battling. No one diving into the pits just yet. Smaller Smiley gets past with a little bit of contact here and there. John looking opportunistic. 3 wide into turn 1. Somehow CM21 gets out of that in the leads of that group. 5 cars very close together. Bit of contact between John and CM21 on the run down to Eau Rouge. Coming up ready on now. Who is going to have the DRS? More bits of contact. John is the one without DRS. The Smaller Smiley is the one making moves. CM21 back up into 6th place. Oh, and John's lost it! He's gone! Felix onto the intermediates. The track is looking pretty bad, and Smaller Smiley making a mistake into turn 8. It is now the crossover periods. Just need that sign from from race control that the DRS is disabled, because, well, it's ready for it. You can see the rain is sticking on the track now. Understeer from Jellyman. He's turning the wheel, but the car doesn't want to turn. And heartbreak for John, who, like TD and Greg, this feature race have had incidents and moments to forget at Le Combe. Felix is on a default setup, in case you missed it. He lagged out before the race started, so he's on a default setup not only at Belgium but now in the wet. He needs to hope that 2 drivers ahead of him retire. CM21 fighting Jellyman into the pits. Everyone's in. John will be in. DRS disables. Yes, Padge, apology to you, or for you, sorry. I had to do a stream restart on lap 4 or 5 of this race. I fiddled around with some settings before, but they didn't work. They made it even worse, so I had to quickly restart. So, everyone on to Inters. I believe for the remainder of the race, this could be down to who chose the best setup now, who's more confident in these wetter conditions. Camper's done really well this race to stay with some of the runners on the medium tyres ahead of him, but now he's got Smaller Smiley and John behind, who he was behind in the early stages, taking home at the moment some decent points for the McLaren team. No one's speeding this time. Still only 1 time penalty, CM21, and we are over halfway through this Grand Prix. Yeah, Padge, I'm sorry, it's probably really bad quality for the first part of it, so yeah, you're going to be watching it, pulling your hair out, I imagine. And, well, in the first 6 or 7 laps, we had a big train of 7 cars all battling for P3. Now, all of a sudden, we've only got 2 people within a second of the car ahead. How the tables have turned. John now looking for a move. Smaller Smiley, who averages an 8th place finish in AT1 this season. And guess where he is now? P8. You just can't write it, can you? Those stats are useful for a reason, I guess. Camper close behind TD with a time penalty. 11th place at the moment. No, so in Quali Padge we had a moment where coming back into the pits, 4 drivers were glitched in a stationary position, and their cars wouldn't drive back into the pit lane. Deflated as a result, got disqualified. Top Gun and Greg left the lobby and rejoined, but obviously because of that stupid glitch, it retired their car. So there was a bit of a conversation whether we should be doing a restart or not for qualifying. Because we had to make a very quick decision on it, with all the information we had, we decided on this occasion to carry on. Just because of time, the big issue. But we said we would discuss it after the race, because I personally, as well as Greg, thought we should have restarted. I still stand by it, but I'm not you know, complaining about it. Just I thought that was worthy of a restart. TD pits again. Maybe some damage. No, he's onto the full wet tyres. So taking a bit of a gamble, trying something different. He's out of the points anyway, so why not? I like that move. And we'll have to wait and see whether those wet compound tyres are better than the Inters. So John battling Smaller, Camper battling Jellyman. Both Alfa Romeos under some kind of pressure. Top Gun has benefited the most from this conditions because he gained a good 2 seconds in that pit stop window to the top 2. Only 4.1 now behind Josh. 1010 has been 2 and a bit seconds out of Josh for the whole race. And as we enter the final third of this Grand Prix, that trend is continuing. Felix now up into P11 after TD's pit stop, but now with that time penalty. TD is gaining on Felix. This is what the delta is showing us. The issue is the temperature of TD's tyres. Are they too warm? If they're too warm, they're going to get very worn very quickly. And that will affect whether TD can make a move on Felix. Camper did drop back slightly from Jellyman Tim, but he's now back within striking potentially distance at the end of the Kemmel Straight. Does actually look pretty close here. Not close enough. This is the move to watch as John gets past Smaller Smiley for 8th place. No real changes in any of the front runners. CM21's penalty is 3 seconds, so CM21 needs to make sure that it doesn't get another one, as DJ Khaled would say. Jellyman looks pretty comfortable. He's been defending a lot. He's got a little bit of breathing room behind him. I wonder if he can now get within 3 seconds of CM21. 1010 in a great vein of form, he certainly is. He's our featured driver for tonight as well. Oh, lovely slide from Jelly, looked great on stream. But has cost him a couple of tenths. Gaps now starting to form. No one within a second of the car ahead. Difficult to know who to watch really. Let's see how these two are getting on. Josh has just slightly closed that gap by a few tenths last lap. 2.3 now. I wonder if Josh is in a position where he's ready to commit a bit more effort and energy into catching him, maybe spending a bit more ERS, but not being used whilst we went on board. 1010 using a bit of energy to get a bit more gap back. Oh, TD's not happy. And I think TD's had a moment, a spin there perhaps. 13 seconds now behind Felix, was only a few. It looks like a real life race with Cod Camper and Jellyman. You see a lot of drivers nowadays in real life. They drop back because they don't want their tyres or engine to get too hot, and then they catch up again and try and go for another overtake. It seems like that's what Cod Camper's doing. He keeps dropping back and then catching up again. So maybe there's a bit of pace in the tank for Cod Camper. Maybe he's being held up here by Jellyman. Ten has responded Gap back up to 2.7. Anything you can do, I can do better, comes to mind between these two. Remember, Josh's championship fight isn't really between him and 1010. There's a 30-point lead between the top two in Josh's favour. The real battle for Josh is with Deflated. He's 2 positions ahead of him, and going into this race, he's 5 points clear. So after this race, he will be gaining another 6 points. However, Josh won the sprint race and Deflated didn't score, so that's another 8 points that Josh has gained on Deflated tonight. So by the end of tonight, could be up to 20 points ahead of Deflated in the championship. John, I believe that was getting a time penalty. Don't see that very often. John has just got past Camper as well. Smaller Smiley within some kind of distance to kind of make a move. Well, let's have a look at this. Not one person can do lap 1. First proper braking zone, I'm high up and I've been taken out 3 times as TD. It's yes, I can only sympathise with that after what happened on Sunday night in Great Britain. For me personally, I can very much empathise with how you're feeling right now. Not great. Ten comes across the line to start lap 20. We have 3 laps remaining. A few time penalties to take into consideration, but CM21 won't lose a place to Jellyman. Oh, he will. He's got 6 seconds now. Oh, John, has he gone straight on? He has. So Jellyman needs to stay within 6 seconds of CM21 to get a spot in the top 5. No changes expected in the top 4. John has that 3-second time penalty, which may cost him to Cog Camper and Smaller Smiley. But the longer that these two fight, the more time they're going to lose. Greg holding on to 10th place, but just not quite been his Grand Prix tonight. You never get taken out for lunch. Me neither. Camper really struggling with oversteer. Smaller Smiley keeps it around the outside. I imagine Smaller will be very happy with that one. Probably will post it in the Overtakes channel in Discord. If I had to guess. In order for that, Demon, you need to join the league, man. Should definitely rejoin. You are very welcome. You earned it, Demon Jonesy, by spamming numbers in the chat for a good 2 minutes. That's just the rules of the game. Rapidly approaching the end of tonight's festivities. BRT CM21 qualified on pole with a 1 minute 41.0, but could only manage 3rd in the sprint race as Josh took the 8 points. 1010 took the lead in the feature race almost immediately and has maintained that gap back to Josh ever since, even through the pit stop window where the Inters were all of a sudden the right tyre to be on. It's a jolly good battle between John and Jellyman. And John getting the better of the relatively new member to our league, Jellyman Tim. I love Padge's sarcasm. It's very good. Used initiative. Hey, I'm not saying what you did was wrong. It was there to be exploited, and you exploited it. But I can't say it was massively skillful. Let's just put it that way. Gaps are starting to come down a little bit. Top Gun is gaining on Josh, but Josh has lost a tiny bit times 10-10. Maybe Josh had a moment somewhere. But with only 1.25 laps remaining, doesn't look likely the Top Gun will steal second place anytime soon. CM21 though, with his third time penalty, that is definitely going to cost him a place to Jellyman. Smaller Smiley is, let me work it out, 12.9 behind CM21. So CM21 should not lose a place to Smaller. He will lose a place to Jellyman as things stand. And John needs to be within 6 seconds of the Ferrari driver to get P5. But as things stand, John's going to lose a place to Jellyman. Hopefully you're following this and can piece things together in your own heads. Top Gun is the one on the charge though. He is rapidly gaining. Josh is losing time. Final lap of the race. For our featured driver, it has been plain sailing, and I say sailing in a number of meanings. As the rain started to fall, he did not waver. His pace has been good, very consistent. One of the most complete drivers we have in this league. Rapidly approaching 100 races in this league as well. And he has thoroughly deserved this feature race victory. He finished second in the sprint race. Who holds the fastest lap, I wonder? It is 10-10 as well with that 44.9. So 10-10 will get 26 points here tonight. No real movement up the field. John needs to be 6 seconds behind the Ferrari driver of CM21 if he wants to get ahead on penalties. But still needs a mighty couple of sectors to do that. 10-10 though has absolutely bossed it. This race has been nothing short of perfection. He hasn't needed to be 10 seconds a lap quicker than anyone else, but he has controlled this from start to finish. He takes the very soggy Belgian trophy home tonight and wins in Belgium. Josh gains traction, no pun intended, on his teammate in the championship. That is a beautiful slide from CM21, but he has had a huge issue this lap and will lose places over the line as John caps off a decent recovery drive, but will lose a place to Jellyman, who has had his best result of the season. CM21 has crashed somewhere and will lose points. Camper Greg finishing the points, and I wonder if Felix is going to get 10th here on a default setup. Congrats on the hunt. Thank you very much, Snacks Man. Really appreciate that. It's been a really fun stream. We've had a bit of controversy with quali, some glitches. We need to discuss after the race whether in future we do restarts. He left the race. Why on earth did he get retired after he finished? I don't understand. So maybe that will be looked at by the stewards as to what the correct finishing order will be. Jellyman Team was our sprint driver of the day, and it's hard to look past 10-10 for the feature race driver of the day tonight. Certainly is a bad game glitch. Wouldn't want anyone to go through that, but unfortunately some of them did tonight. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. Beautiful Belgian trophy there. 10-10 refusing to lift high. Mighty impressive Top Gun. Qualified 13th with that glitch. But fights his way back up to 7th in the sprint race and then onto the podium in the feature race. Definitely considered for driver of the day tonight. 10-10 though bossed it. Josh, well deserved podium, didn't do anything wrong. Deflated will lose 6 points in this race and 8 points in the sprint race, so he's now 19 points adrift of Josh in the championship. Don't need to scroll down at all because there's only 14. Jelly Man, as I say, very good performance tonight. John, a little bit unlucky. Smaller smiley cod camper, decent races as well. Only the 2 or 3 DNFs. I didn't get a screenshot. That's annoying. Hopefully someone got them. Let's invite some people into the party, shall we? Let's invite Tenten. Let's invite Josh. Where is he? He's always appearing offline. And let's see if Top Gun will join us. That's awkward. I don't have as a friend. Next time. 1010 is here. Hello.
Hello.
It seems like you should be featured driver every week because you're only 1 point off maximum points tonight. Talk us through that sprint race first of all, with just missing out on the win to Josh.
Yeah, I was pretty close there with Josh. I think the key was to have DRS on the last, on the run up to the last lap and save the ERS. But yeah, Josh got ahead of me and I didn't have enough ERS to keep up with him, so yeah, I was a little bit bummed about it, but started P2, which isn't bad.
And what about the feature race? It was once you took the lead, it was just more about managing the gap behind, I guess.
Yeah, I was actually quite dialed in that race compared to usual. I felt quite focused, felt quite comfortable. But yeah, it was just a matter of managing the gap, making sure that he didn't gain any confidence whenever he creeped up on me.
And what about the rain? Were you happy to see the rain? Did it
I was not. I was absolutely bricking it, to be honest, because I've never done no assists rain at Belgium, so I had to learn the conditions. Josh was catching me at the beginning, but then once I learned where to brake and what the limits were, it was just don't get any more invalidations, because I think I was on 2 invalidations, so just keep it within the lanes.
And next week we're at Zandvoort. What are your thoughts?
I love the track, but I have no idea how competitive I'm going to be, so we'll just have to wait and see.
Lovely. On to Josh, who took a great sprint race victory, but just a couple of seconds off the lead in the feature race. How was that for you tonight, Josh?
Yeah, it was alright. It was a very similar story to last season at Spa, actually, with Killian, where I had very good pace over the rest of the field, and then there was just that one person that was a few seconds ahead of me, and I just couldn't stay with him. So yeah, the sprint race was lucky just because Chaz had really high wings, which worked in quali, but in the race he just got mugged, and it meant I got a really big gap at the start of the sprint. And then once 10-10 did get clear air, I thought, just keep an eye on the gap, see how quick he is. And then he was gaining quite a few attempts. I thought, by the time we get towards the end of the race, he'll beat my DRS with the pace he was going at. So I was happy to go an extra lap and let him undercut me. And then it just meant when it came to the last lap, I was the cow of the DRS. So there was a bit of an issue with Chaz being there, but like I said, with his high wings, I was able to get past him quite easily, and then just wait till the last lap to get the lead and yeah, win the sprint. And then for the main race, I mean, not much really happens, just a solid start. Brought DRS to P3, so it was just those two out front, and then obviously Tintin overtook me, and I realised quite quickly I wasn't going to be able to stay with him. So once I got out DRS, there was no point pushing too hard. Just consolidate P2 at that point and wait for the rain, which came just in time for us on the mediums because the mediums were 2 laps off, probably puncturing. So yeah, it was good timing for us on the mediums, and then on the inters, it felt good in the first few laps. I gained a little bit back, and then once it went to heavy rain at the end, I just had no front grip. So it was just about making sure I didn't crash the car at that point because I was losing a couple of seconds on, and then last 3 laps, there's no front grip. But all in all, it was a good race.
How wary were you behind of Top Gun? Top Gun seemed to have some decent pace in the wet there.
Yeah, it was very fast. I mean, I kept an eye on the gap. First, it was alright. Then once it did go to heavy rain and my fronts just didn't bite at all, I saw he was closing about a second a lap. So I was just looking at how many laps were left, and I was like, right, just even if he gains a second a lap, it's alright. I'll still get P2. So luckily the laps just run out in the end. But yeah, it was definitely a threat. So luckily with what was going on behind at the start, it sort of saved me and helped me get P2. But that obviously comes from just getting a good grid position, and then you don't get caught in that. So yeah, happy with the results at the end of the day.
And you've gone from a 5-point lead in the championship to a 19-point lead, so pretty much almost a certain championship lead after next week as well, which is Zandvoort. What are your thoughts on the track?
Yeah, it's a track I really like. Similar to Spa, I'm very good in quali, but my race pace might not be as good. So I'll have to see. I'll probably have to practice a little bit more than I did this week because it shows in my race pace. So yeah, probably put a few more laps into that than I did this week. But yeah,